Donald.
And we're back to start a brand new show. We're going to be covering Halo. It is the live-action adaptation of the video game series of the same name. Bless you, Nico. It's streaming over on Paramount Plus. It debuted, 2-3 days ago? Just the one episode, right? They didn't drop multiple.
No, it's just one at a time.
Yeah. Damn, that sucks. This is a show where I wish they would have done what some of the other shows do, where they drop like 2 or 3. Sorry, Nico's playing with Kaylee like right next to me, so if you're hearing like snorting noises, that's not me, that's the dog. Because it was, spoiler alert, just that good. I loved it. What did you think?
No, I thought it was really good. I thought it was like it. To me, it played a lot like Mandalorian. They used a lot of what Mandalorian did in that first season. Mm-hmm. I felt like it was a lot of parallels.
Yeah.
But no, it played like, even I think somebody had asked me in the group after I posted that I watched it is like, I don't know anything about the video game. Can I jump into this? And I thought they did a really good job of just having, even if you knew nothing about Halo, the video game, I thought it was a great introduction just to a new show. Because
honestly, confession, like, I love the game series. I played like Nico. No, I played like, I don't know. I feel like I lost track after like 3 or 4 or whatever. Like once we got into like Halo Reach and all that stuff, like it just gets fuzzy for me. But you know, we played for years and really good at it. Loved it. Kaylee played a lot. But I don't know that I remember a lot of the story. But luckily that doesn't really matter, because this is apparently, set in the universe, but nothing in this story is like from the video games. It's not like any of the storylines that run through
right.
the video games. And apparently, according to the year that the series is set in, this is a prequel to anything that's been done in the video games.
Which makes sense.
Yes. So,
because I would even like I did, because I'm not all the way up in the Halo lore. Like I know there's books and all kinds of stuff. They've built a universe just like they have Star Wars. With the Halo universe, and I don't know. I don't like a lot. I don't pay attention to a lot, 100% of the story when I'm playing a game. I just kind of like, I know this character. I'll know this stuff, but it's like I'm there for the action type of stuff.
Kaylee and I were just talking about that. I don't know that I do anymore. I think I used to, but I don't think I pay attention. But like Kaylee definitely does. But like a lot of her games, that's what they are. They're like
they're very story driven.
Yeah.
And like, so I didn't like when they go into this episode and they're like talking about how the Spartans they're not human. Like, I didn't know that.
No, see, that's the thing. I think that
I didn't know. Like,
I think that they are. I think that's like part.
I feel like they're like RoboCop. That was especially what happens in this episode with him touching that thing. I felt like they at one point died in real life and were recreated in this form to be super soldiers.
I think that there's something. These are people who, at the very least, I don't know that they died, but at the very least, their memories are wiped.
Right.
And or she said sealed, and they are then put into these suits that are hooked up to them, biology wise, like it's connected to them, right. But I don't think that they're not human, and I don't think when he said that, like, because honestly it felt like something straight out of the Terminator. Like, I feel like there's a scene where it says it doesn't stop, right? Like, it, you can't reason with it, you can't talk to it. Like, it felt so over the top. I thought that was the point. Like, they're clearly human, but they're like super soldiers basically.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's when, so like the whole thing, like they can't be stopped, they can't be killed and all of that, it just felt like hyperbole, just so you can understand how far above they are over like the average Marine. Right? Okay. So yeah, I loved it a lot, and I'm so happy that I did, because I was worried I was really, really worried. What, before we talk about the scenes, what do you think about the controversy over the fact that Master Chief takes off his helmet?
I don't give a shit. Like, it doesn't bother. And I think that's those people that are very story driven, are very foul. Like, they know all the Halo lore, and they played every single game for that story, and they know it deep down. And I think those are the people that are really pissed off. And I don't give a shit. It's kind of like I said, the Mandalorian. Like, the same thing happens in there, where he's not supposed to take off his mask, but he does. We see that he does it and stuff like that. And that's how I just kind of felt like it was the same thing. But it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah. Same. I think that, and it made sense why he did it. He needed to get this girl's trust.
Right.
And that was one way to do it, and you can't have, I think, the type of story that they're trying to tell with him, experiencing these things and expressing these emotions behind a helmet. Like, it's just not going to work. Because unlike the Mandalorian, like, this is clearly someone who's not aware of his past.
Right.
And as he struggles with that, we need to be able to see that. So I don't know, like, and Pablo Schreiber is a great actor, so I don't know why people are complaining. But yeah, you're right. I think it's mostly like game purists, I guess. Mm-hmm. Anyway, you already talked about this episode.
Yep.
First episode 1. All right, so backstory a bit. Like I said, this is set in the year 2552. We spend most of the episode on a planet called Madrigal. It's a planet that is fighting Earth for its independence, like literally at war. Although there are, I think currently, we find out that Jin Ha, who is, I'm not exactly sure like what was it, like general? Okay, so I guess he's a general in the whole
space.
Entire planet's military. Like, I'm just trying to figure out his reach, but I mean, I guess it's pretty vast, because the guy on the news, there's someone on the news who's talking about how he's really hopeful that there'll be peace talks with Earth, and he says General Jin Ha sent me. So like, he's clearly someone, or he was clearly someone with high authority, right? But they want independence from Earth. And then we have this alien covenant out in the universe who apparently, like, the people that are fighting Earth for independence, they didn't believe that these aliens were out there.
Right, because
they were saying they thought it was like propaganda. Because I would imagine maybe Earth was saying, like, you want to be under our quote unquote, like our control, protection, right? Because we can help.
There's these aliens out there.
Yeah. So this is the first time and the last time for most of these people. Jesus Christ.
All these people.
Yeah, all of them except one. That they've seen like these aliens, right? Yep. Okay, so and we get a lot of that Spartan lore that you and I were talking about how they're like, they don't die, and that how they're above the Marines in the UNSC military.
Right.
Yeah. And then we meet Quan, who is General Jin Ha's daughter. She and her friends, they're just out in the woods doing hood rat shit.
Well, they didn't look for edibles. I mean,
digging them up. I was like, I feel you, sis. Same.
She was like, I know where all the good drugs
There
are.
was like a moment when she goes to take the whatever it was that they were popping, and they're like, cheers or whatever, and they all take it except for Quan, because she sees the ship,
reflection,
the light in the distance. And I was like, I thought there was going to be something where just a little bit of time passes and it's going to be like they're all going to be high, and she's going to.
Well, they kind of did though.
Yeah, but not like, I thought it was going to be like they were like high.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I guess you're right. They were acting a little.
When she comes back, they're like they started talking about having hallucinations and shit, and then she's like, "We need to go," and then one guy starts walking towards the ship.
You're right. I guess they were.
They were pretty high.
Yeah. And then, like, okay, so I gotta admit that I don't watch a lot of stuff like on CBS. I just feel like a lot of it, I'm just not in the demographic that these shows are aiming towards, or for. So I don't.
You mean this show?
No, like on CBS. I don't watch like a lot of those, like the NCIS.
Right.
Type
and I think
stuff.
the new like the big one that they have now, like especially on Paramount and stuff, is Yellowstone and all the
right.
stuff.
Like
have,
I'm not. It's just not my thing.
Right.
Not the type of shows I like to watch. And so when I knew that this was coming and that it was Paramount Plus, I was like, oh, so there was like a part of me that thought that this was going to be kind of like what are some CBS like sci-fi stuff we've watched, like Zoo or Under the Dome, like where it's like sci-fi but it's a little, it's like network TV sci-fi.
Right. Lost is another. I mean,
it's like there's only so far. I don't know. I don't know if I'm explaining it right.
No, yeah.
But like right off the bat, this show is like, no, that's not what we're doing. There's like, we got a budget, and we blowing up kids.
And I mean, Steven Spielberg's company is behind this.
Right.
It's all Amblin Entertainment, so I was like, okay, this is going to be. They've got the budget to do this.
And they're like, also we will kill some kids. As a matter of fact, here you go, boom. This is everything that happens after this. Basically, Quan rushes back to. And all her friends die. Like, she's the only one who makes it inside, right? Out of her friends.
Yes.
Before they close the gate. Yeah. And her dad sends her into, just like, I guess, they have a drill for this. And so, like, kids and stuff have to go to, in this, hold in this special room or whatever. And, these aliens just attack the Covenant, and these are the elites, right? There were elites, and
it was just
elites.
And I just like this whole opening, like you don't see them. You just everything is through her perspective, and we never see an alien until they
hit the door. Yes.
Right, until they hit the door.
But the thing is, if you've played the game as we have, when she comes clears that ridge or whatever, and she looks up and she sees the alien ship, like we know,
right?
Like, and they did such a good job with that, just like the effects of like the pulsating, energy from the ship, the lights and everything. Like they got that right. Yeah. So like, even if you played the game, you knew what was coming, and it's terrifying. But even if you hadn't, and you're right, you don't see them, but she's like running for her life. But at least like she sets up the flare, which if it had been a different type of enemy, this would have been great, right? Because this is how they were able to prepare,
right? Like
start manning their guns and stuff, because she sent up that flare. And so if these were like Marines or something, this would have meant something, but it meant nothing. Like those aliens blew the door off immediately,
right? Because they couldn't penetrate their armor.
Yeah. And so, but like, and I say this is great in that, it was terrible what was happening, because like this village, this outpost gets slaughtered, but it looked good. Like they got it right. When Master Chief shows up, just the way that plays, like how he drops down like Superman, like a Superman landing,
like how they all the introduction. This is all still the cold open. Like the show just kicked off without even giving us a title or anything. And I mean, it was so violent here at the beginning. Like you get that one alien that opens the door where the daughter is, and there's like she was just talking to other kids. Yeah. And
or where she was, because she leaves before that. Yeah.
She leaves, but everybody else is still there. It's like fuck. Like and he killed every single person that was in that room, all the kids and everything. Like they did not give a fuck. They were killing.
Do you remember like? there was that one kid who was like, "Are we gonna die?" And she was like, "No, of course not." And then
and that was the one that was in the room. And he opened that door.
That's what I mean. Like, it just made it worse. And then the one kid who was like, I faced Marines before when they were playing cards.
Yep.
Yeah, he's like trying to get in and get stabbed through the door.
The energy
they got those swords.
Yeah, the energy swords are really...
They nailed that.
Yep.
That looked good. But yeah, the Spartans arrive, and her dad believes that she's dead because he witnesses one of the aliens shooting up
that room.
And then when the Spartans arrive, they think, "Oh fuck, we gotta fight them now too." But Master Chief quickly shows that no, he's just there to fuck up the aliens. And so this is interesting because this feels like this was almost not planned, but like, because later when they're reporting to, I think her name is Paragonsky, Admiral Paragonsky, like what happened is she's like, my Spartans got there. By the time my Spartans got there, they had already killed most of that village, right?
Right.
And she was like, but we got one survivor. And Paragonsky was like, I can't do anything with one survivor. Like, it felt like they wanted this to happen. They wanted the people to have to be rescued by the Spartans.
Right.
So that do you get what I'm saying? Yeah.
Because that was the whole thing. Like, they wanted her to do the broadcast.
And then they wanted her to do the broadcast to say,
show all the other people that are trying to do the same thing.
Yes.
Hey, no, this Spartan, the USNC is good people. We love it.
Yeah. So, right, do you remember, like, I want to say this before I forget. One thing I love is the sound. Like, again, if you've played Halo, like, what it sounds like to walk in those shoes. You know what I mean? To be in that suit. Like, they nailed that. But, like, it doesn't, like, I believe that it takes the hits, but it doesn't feel clunky when they move. Does that make sense? Like, I also buy that he can do, or they can do, a lot of the stunts that they're doing in those suits, and that it doesn't look like, do you know what I mean? Like something like Spider-Man wears. Like, do you get, like, it feels like they're moving in something as light as what Spider-Man wears, and they're not.
Right.
But it doesn't feel like cheap, or, you know, like it's two different outfits or something. They just, I don't know how they did that, but it looks really good. And then the alien, Kaylee and I noticed, because you watched this without me first, and then you showed us the opening, and then we just ended up watching it. But you had to leave for work, and so Kaylee and I, like, we paused it to get something to eat or whatever, and we, like, came back to it a little bit later. And we were talking about it. We said two things. Kaylee said, you know, I was a little disappointed that the opening wasn't the music from the game, like the theme music from the game. And I was like, yeah, me too. She's like, yeah, because it sounded a little bit like it at first. And I was like, yeah. I said, well, maybe they're saving it for like a big moment in the show. And then at the end of the episode, when that thing powers the ship, it is that music. And when it happened, like, I literally, like, gasped and, like, grabbed Kaylee's leg. We were both like, ah! And we had a similar moment when they have the alien, like, doing that, like, sidestep dodge that they do in the game.
To avoid the bullets.
Yeah, that was so cool. My only thing is, at some point, when do I get my sticky grenades?
Yeah, they're coming.
And needlers.
Yeah.
Yes.
They got to.
Yes. And the hammer.
And the grunts.
Oh, this is going to be amazing. Anyway. But yeah, just when I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad. Do you remember her dad didn't die?
Yeah.
He dies, like, the very next scene. This was really fucked up. Not how I wanted to see a sword used. So it turns out
it's just the because I didn't expect four Spartans to show up, and just
what?
I didn't expect four Spartans to show up. I didn't expect to be a bunch of Spartans. I don't know. But it was kind of cool to see the other Spartans, because you could obviously tell that two of them were women and two of them were guys, and just the utilization of all four of them in different aspects was really cool. Like they were all moving. They got the one that's out there sniping. They were all just using different type of guns and stuff. It was cool.
The Silver Squad, I think.
Yes, Silver Team.
Silver Team. So they figure after he kills them all, unfortunately, also after, again, Kwan's dad is killed. So she's the only survivor. They discover what the aliens were doing in the cave. They were excavating something. It's like this artifact that when Master Chief touches it, it lights up, and he has these flashes, these visions of a family. And while this is going on, one of the aliens is like watching in the background, hiding behind a pillar. And so as the lights start coming on, even he looks around like, what the fuck? And he gets away, right? Because he's the one who reports later. We see him reporting to, I have the name written down.
The alien, right? Yeah, because he gets in that ship and flies off.
That's right. So he gets away, and because of what happened to him, I guess, he just decides, Master Chief decides he's going to fly back with Kwan, and everybody else goes back. Like, one of them, he gives them assignments, like they have to take the alien ship and stuff back to command or whatever.
The one was trying to tell him, hey, that's against protocol.
Right. He was like,
not like you.
But for whatever reason, he wanted to it's just him, that artifact, and Kwan in the ship going back.
Yeah, it was like immediately like going away from all his, because at this point I felt like they were very like almost robots. Like they were there, they did the directives and they left, because that's how they acted. They did not give a fuck that they're just a survivor. Like that survivor's just gonna have to live by themselves here. We got a mission. We got to do it.
I was just like, this is so terrible. They're just going to leave her.
But whatever, this thing that it awakens him to a point and kind of opens his consciousness to like wonder more than just his operative.
Yeah, and then later she even says that, like, he's like, what, and question everything. She's like, someone told you that's a bad thing. She's like, oh, of course they did. Speaking of which, we meet Dr. Catherine Halsey, who is like the head of like the Spartan program. We learned that her funding is in danger.
Now, is she going to be Cortana? I'm trying to figure out where Cortana's going to come into play, because
Cortana is that thing that like clone woman, and that was in like that bathtub.
Oh, is it? Okay.
That's what I think. Yeah. Because she said that's where.
Because the one lady told her to destroy.
Yeah, she said I told you to get rid of it. She goes, we've paused. She goes, you haven't paused shit.
She went in there to kill it, and then decided not to.
And then later she was like, this is where the Cortana program would come in handy. And she was like, there is no Cortana program. So I think that's what that is. She said there is no cloning, there is no Cortana program. So I think that, yeah. Now, the voice in the game is the actress in the show, I believe. So, like, that woman sitting in the thing, I think, is the woman who is Cortana's voice in the game.
Oh, that's cool.
I think. I'll double check. So, yeah, we learned that the Spartan program funding is in danger. We learned that Dr. Halsey has a daughter named Miranda Keyes, who is the one who Admiral Parangonsky asks to speak to Kwan, like to link her through to talk to Kwan on the ship. And Miranda, like, she says, I'm not a politician, and then she goes on to sound exactly like a politician. Yeah. She's like, so if you could just like maybe make a video and say how we came in and we did our best and we saved you and all this stuff. And for some reason, I guess she's just not very like political savvy, I guess. Kwan is like, no, how about instead I go on TV and lie and say that you murdered our entire outpost.
Spartans came in and killed them all.
And then this, of course, leads to an Article 72 being issued against her, which means she has to die. And we meet also Miranda's father, who I was like, oh my god, looks so familiar to me. He is Colonel Runaway from Doctor Who. He was also on Penny Dreadful. Do you remember?
No.
Did you watch Penny Dreadful?
I did. I don't remember him though.
You know, the only black guy on Penny Dreadful.
I don't remember.
Oh my god, oh my god. Anyway. So so then we go to the Covenant Command, and they're like location unknown, and it looks like a big old mushroom, like a jellyfish. Yeah. Ugh. And it says Covenant Command High Chanty, and then we meet the Blessed One. That's what they called her. She predicted the location of that artifact, but she's informed that the Spartan took it, and apparently they know Master Chief. They call him Demon. Mm-hmm. They know 117. Yes. So she's like, well, I need to talk to this warrior, and the alien that greets her, I think his name is Marik. Hold on, I'm gonna pull up.
It's so interesting that they have their the language and stuff like
that. Mercy. Yes, so he's Mercy. That's the alien's name, and her name is Maki. Yes. And so when she's like, well, I need to talk to this warrior and find out exactly what happened, he's like, well, why don't you leave your little book behind? Because apparently, like, basically he was saying, you know, I know you're not reading those human books because you are human. I know you must be studying the enemy, right? Like, basically warning her that it looks like.
I thought it was more educational. To me, it came off like, for whatever reason, this girl's been with them since she was born, or they raised this girl. Or
how do you know that?
That's how it just came across.
Okay.
Like the only thing she knows about humans is from reading and what they've taught her, and I felt like that's she's studying humans through reading these books and stuff like that.
Right, but what I mean is, I don't think that like.
But she's the only human that like I feel like they somehow kidnapped the child or
right. But what I'm saying is, I don't think that he liked that she was reading, like that the fact that she does that, and he didn't think that she should go out there and talk to that warrior with that book.
Yeah,
that's what he was like. Might I suggest you leave it behind? And then when she questions, he's like, I know you're reading this not because you consider humans your people, but because you want to know the enemy. And she was like, right. You see what I mean? Like,
gotcha.
But I'm thinking, no, she is reading it because she is human and she's curious about this shit. And she's not thinking in terms of reading, you know, the stuff of the enemy. And then that's when he says, maybe one day you can read it to me so I too can know the enemy. Like, it just felt like a kind of like a warning to me. But, so Master Chief is linked to Halsey. And he tells her about the visions, right? And she's like, okay, well, you need to stay away from that artifact. And then she tells them when they land that he has to come directly to her, because clearly the fact that he saw these visions, quote unquote, is concerning to her.
Yeah.
Because she knows their memories, right?
Right. They were both, like, her and the other doctor were like, when he says, and a dog and and family, and they're like, family?
They were like, So then Master Chief is on the ship with Quan, and she's eating, and she's like, hey, remember when you killed my mom? I was like, whoa. So we learned that her mother went to a meeting.
Like a peace?
Yeah, it was like people from different, to talk about you know, freedom and stuff, and the Spartans showed up and killed everyone, and he said we were responding to a bomb threat by insurrectionists. So, you know, they were told, oh, insurrectionists planted a bomb here and called them there. And she's like, which never made sense. And he's like, yeah, why would insurrectionists call in bomb threats to, you know, insurrectionists? So clearly somebody set them up, right? And
right.
he says, you know, like the orders changed once we got on the ground. You know, we were told at first to take out the organizer, but then once they landed, they were told to take out everybody, and so they did.
It's that evil woman that's the whatever her name is. That
Parangansky.
Mm-hmm. She don't give a fuck.
So yeah. So that Article 72 order comes in, and it's like on his what do you call it? His
visor.
Hood, yeah, it's display, and he's like, "What's your name again?"
Mm-hmm. He looks at it like, "Dang, it's a shoe."
Oh my god, that was so funny. He was like, "I just make sure." So he starts turning off the cameras on the ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're back at command, like, what the fuck is he doing? So they're like, okay, we're gonna fuck with the oxygen levels on the ship to like make him unconscious when they land so we can bring him in and examine him without incident. And as this is happening, Parangansky asks Halsey, can the girl survive this? And she goes, I thought you wanted her dead anyway.
Right.
And I don't know if that's like a thing, like shitty writing or what, but they say the order came from the top. So did it come from someone above Parangansky? Like when she asked that, was she being serious? Like did she not, was she not the one who placed the Article 72?
I thought she was.
I thought she was too. And if she was, like, yeah, it's so silly that she would ask that. Especially because once they crashed, right, they landed, remember, she was like, she immediately was like, take the girl down, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And
yep.
if he moves funny, take him down too. So, I don't know. I'd be curious to see if something comes of that. So, yeah, they mess with the oxygen and he passes out, but he wakes up again. And when she wakes up, she's freaking out because she thinks he did something to her, right?
Yep.
He goes, no, I didn't do that. They did that. And then because there's like weapons on the ship that could fuck them up, Parangansky calls in like everybody. She's like, bring everybody. Mm-hmm. And they're like, is it necessary? And she's like, you question me one more fucking time, I'm gonna send you to your room. She was sick of that white woman shit, and it was hilarious. But anyway, yeah, so in order to but then I love this. What's her name? Halsey goes to Silver Team.
It's a don't let anybody fuck with him. If they do, then you kill them.
Yes. So it's like even friendlies, and he was like, if they going after the chief, they're not friendlies. Am I right?
Yeah,
she was like, abso-fucking-lutely. So now, I'm so glad you brought that up, because when they crash land because they hit him with an EMP, right? So they take out the power.
Yeah.
They crash onto the ship that they're on, or whatever they're on. And the Silver Team show up, right? And these are the other 3 Spartans, again, that they're told by Halsey, fuck up anybody that tries to harm Master Chief, right?
Yep.
So the Marines put explosives on the door of the ship to blow it off.
Yep.
They're prepared to, again, they're going to kill the girl, and then if Master Chief doesn't come quietly, they're going to kill him too. So the Silver Squad is behind them. Silver Team is behind them. Now, this was so stressful to me, Donnie, because I'd completely fucking forgotten just that fast that she had told them to protect Master Chief.
Gotcha.
So, like, this whole time, I'm just stressed because I'm like, how the fuck does he get out of this? What happens? And so it wasn't until right when they set the charge, right, that Kaylee said something about it. And I was like, oh, that's right. They're not there to shoot Master Chief. They're just waiting. So if you look at it, I love that you see the Marines looking at the Spartans like, what are y'all doing? Why?
Exactly. Like, why are you here? Yep.
And they're just waiting. And when they set that charge, they turn around and they look at them. They have their guns pointed at them. And me and Kaylee were like, later, they need to be like, so why were you guys pointing your guns at us? Oh my God, so funny. But yeah, he touches the artifact. Oh, well, he takes off his helmet to get her to trust him. Right?
Yes.
Saying, they wanted you dead. I didn't do it. I don't know what this is about. I'm trying to save your life. And he takes off the helmet so that she, trusts him. And they work together. But after the ship crashes, he touches the artifact and it knocks out
everything.
All their power, right?
Mm-hmm.
The command post power. But it then
put some kind of energy
fuels
into
the ship. Yes. And that's when you hear the music from the game.
Mm-hmm.
It was so good. Oh my God.
And then they take off on their adventure. Across space and time.
Yeah, so this is going to be interesting because, again, this doesn't follow anything from the game, and even if it did, I don't remember shit from those games. But again, like we mentioned earlier, there are little things that it starts to come back to me, and I get excited to see. But I like the little touches, like we talked about, the sound of the shields building back up. They got it so right, and just to hear it and have it look good, it's not some it just looks like they did it right. It looks really good.
Yep.
I like it. I liked it a lot. And I don't know where the fuck it goes from here. I will say I feel so bad because my friend on Twitter, she was saying how she is really looking forward to it, but she wants to wait until a few more episodes are out, or maybe until it's done, because she likes to binge. And she's she's mainly watching for the actor who plays Jinha, Kwan's dad, Jung Hwan Kong. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then I was like, I have the heart to tell her that he dies in the first episode. I was like, oh. But it's cool. I like the fact that Kwan is still alive, because that's the other thing. Not knowing anything about the show and knowing that this is basically a prequel series, I didn't know if he was going to kill her.
Right.
And we were gonna I didn't know. I didn't know if she was gonna make it past the episode. I didn't know how big of a role she had. So I'm happy that he didn't, obviously. And that we're gonna see more of her. And it was cool hearing them speak Korean.
Yep.
In the beginning. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I've seen her in anything else. No, I haven't.
Yeah, I felt like there's a lot of people in this. I didn't know anybody.
Her name is Yaren Ha, by the way. Yeah, who plays Kwan. So, and I love that. That was kind of the same thing with Foundation, right? Which just kind of reminds me of, in terms of the production looks, good. You can tell they had a nice budget, or whatever they had, they used it well. Mm-hmm. And the story is interesting. The action is, it's good. It's just the right amount of action. Although this is way gorier than Foundation was. But there's still like the whole politics,
Yep.
That's in there. And then of course the whole sci-fi element, which is fascinating, aliens and stuff like that. So it's pretty good. I'm quite pleased, and I can see why. If it just gets better, why it got an early pickup for a second season. Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's everything. Thank you guys for listening. We'll be back next week with episode 2. In the meantime, there's a lot of other great stuff up on the free stream, as well as patreon.com/podcastfandom. We are covering Pachinko and Moon Knight and Extracurricular and Attack on Titan. And we're about to start 2 new animes, Spy Family and Tiger and Bunny, as well as finally, oh my God, Demon Slayer, the Entertainment District arc. So much anime, so little time. So the point being, there's a lot of great stuff over at Patreon. So you should head over to patreon.com/podcastphantom and sign up if you haven't already. Anything you want to add, Donnie?
Nope.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week.